Radio time, 2:07, barreling through a Monday edition of the show. I hope you guys had as great a weekend as I had, and I hope that soon in April, you're going to have an amazing weekend working on your marriage. Now, doesn't that sound horrible? Working on your marriage. What are you doing this weekend? We're working on our marriage. Nobody says that with glee in their voice, okay? It never happens. But I am super excited that my next guest here, Jonathan Dickerson, former coworker who has now moved on to a higher calling. I hate to say it like that, Jonathan, but you are working with the Center for Healthy Relationships?
The Center for Relationship Education.
Oh, gosh, I was so close. So close, and yet so far. So what is that?
So it's a science-based nonprofit that was founded in 2003 to help deliver healthy relationship skills and education so that individuals of all ages can be in positive, healthy relationships that are thriving.
Yeah, and that, you know, when you get married, when you're young and you're idealistic and you're, oh my God, we're so in love, this is going to be this way forever, and we're so happy. And people who've been married for a long time say things like, look, you've got to be able to communicate. You go, yeah, I got that. Yes, we're going to talk, and it's just going to be great. We're going to look into each other's eyes, and we're never going to fight. And all of us people who have been married a long time, we laugh at you when you think that. I'm just letting you know. We're laughing. We're trying not to show it. Marriage is tricky business sometimes.
It is tricky business for almost every marriage for a whole host of reasons. But part of that really is this isn't a skill set that anybody's born with.
Right.
You have to learn this. And nobody's teaching it anywhere. And so many of the folks that are out there, myself included, are coming from, there's only one marriage on both my parent and my parents' side of the family that has two people who found each other, got married, and then started having kids, never got divorced. There's only one marriage of all of the people in the family. And so when you've got no example.
We have no role models.
You have no role models, and then there's no education to teach you these skills. How are you supposed to learn how to do it but for trial and error, which, of course, means you're going to have 1,000 mistakes.
Now, let me ask you this, because in my listening audience right now, there were a lot of people, male and female, that as I started talking about this, they were like, oh, God. I find it fascinating that we will pay a golf pro $90 an hour to improve a golf swing that will do nothing for us other than make us happy one day a week when we go out and play golf. But we don't seem to want to spend any time learning skills for our marriage. Why is that? Do we all feel like we should just be good at this?
We all feel like we should be good at this, but also it really comes to the difference in how we look at our dating relationship and how we are looking at our marriage relationship. In the dating relationship, we all acknowledge, like, I got to put my best
I'm on my best behavior.
I'm on my best behavior.
There'll be no farting on the couch, that kind of thing, yeah.
I am working very diligently to make sure that you see the very best of me.
Right.
But after 15 years of marriage, my desire to keep up that pace has completely gone away, and now I don't want to do any more work.
And now that no farting on the couch has turned into, hey, did you hear that one? The evolution isn't always a super positive one. You know, in our conversation that we had off the air about this, Jonathan, this entire organization, this nonprofit that you're working with, all of this stuff is science-based. This isn't just speculation. This isn't just a therapist who's been on Oprah a few times. What is the science behind marital communication, or I mean, for lack of a way to put it, a happy marriage? Is there science that you can say, here's the science behind a happy marriage?
Correct. So there's a number of different studies that exist, but we are really fortunate that right here in our backyard, the University of Denver's Department of Psychology actually has this treasure trove of longitudinal data. Meaning they have studied couples, they have studied individuals, they've studied youth for decades.
And that means the same people are being studied over, because some people don't know what longitudinal means, and I don't want them to feel dumb. Longitudinal means that the same people have been studied over years and years and years and years.
Correct.
So you start with a young, starry-eyed, newlywed couple, and then fast forward 30, 40 years, you find out where that couple is now. That's invaluable.
And so when you're studying that same population, you get the data exactly as it is from the same people. You don't have to worry, maybe because these are new people, the data isn't relevant. So we have all of this science from them. If you do these things, your relationship will get healthier. If you don't do these things, we have the data to show your relationship gets less healthy. And one of the other pieces of this is, if you do these things, in addition to getting healthier, you get happier.
Right.
Because you're no longer working so hard at a relationship, just like going to the gym. If you haven't been in 10 years, the first day is pretty miserable.
No, the second and third day after the first day is miserable.
Fair point. And
Yeah.
the whole first week can be rough.
Yeah.
But after you start going and you're consistent at it, in addition to not having to be there for 2 hours to make any progress, you can get in, you can get out, you're not sore all the time. It's the same thing with your emotional muscles once you know how to exercise them.
So one thing I found super fascinating is that there are actually 5 stages to marriage. And pretty much every marriage goes through these stages, unless, of course, they don't make it out of stage 2 or they don't make it out of stage 3. What are those stages of marriage?
So I don't want to give away all of the awesomeness from the DIY marriage experience, but these 5 stages are, the first is everybody knows, the honeymoon phase.
Oh, yeah.
This is the stage where everything's just amazing and you're having a wonderful time and there's nothing that my partner, my spouse, my girlfriend, my boy, nothing that they do that is bad. And
They're so awesome.
we agree on everything, mostly because you don't talk about anything of anything
substance, right.
that might get you to disagree.
Right.
So after the honeymoon stage, there's what's called the reality stage. And the reality stage is just that. You start seeing, I am seeing things in you that I had never seen before.
It sounds like this. He never did that before we were married. That's how it sounds. Okay, guys, that's you never did that before we were married. What happened?
And so in some cases, it's true. We've sort of let our guard down. And so we're doing things now that maybe we weren't doing before. But in many cases, I was doing the same thing when we got married. You just didn't see it.
Right. It didn't bother you that much.
It didn't bother you then.
Yeah.
My laugh was the thing that you thought was amazing.
You thought it was charming.
You commented on it every time we went to dinner. But now it grates on you like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
But it's a normal part of the marriage maturing process. The next phase is the adaptation phase, where we're trying to figure out, okay, so are we going to make it? Are we just going to decide to stay as we are and be kind of unhappy? Are we going to do something different to get some different skills in? So
are we going to last through this phase until the kids get out of high school and then we're going to divorce right away?
Correct.
That, to me, this is the most critical stage right here. Is that stage? But go ahead.
And so after the adaptation stage, the transformation stage is where you really start to turn a corner and say, okay, I can put my marriage and my spouse above myself in order of priority. And once both partners do that, it's amazing how much more free you are to enjoy each other and to enjoy your life, because you aren't making it like, man, I have to meet all my own needs.
Right.
I'm married to this person who's not going to do it, so I got to do it. And then after that is what we're all looking for, which is the mature love stage. And that's when it's sort of like a second honeymoon. You get to look back at this person and all that you've done with them. Maybe it's raising kids or the moves or the job changes, all the things you've accomplished. And you're looking at that and seeing this person and all the things that were initially attractive to you, but you're seeing them through the lens
of history, really.
Of history and understanding. In the honeymoon stage, when I looked at my spouse, I'm looking at them thinking that they're amazing because I don't see all the flaws.
It's the idealistic phase.
Correct.
It's the, this is the most perfect person ever, and she probably brushes her teeth for 2 minutes, just like the dentist says.
She flosses 3 times a day.
Exactly. And then you find out, she's got weird bathroom habits or something. The reason I wanted you to go through those stages is because the fact that those stages have been so clearly identified, and if you are married more than 10 years, you're sitting listening right now, and you're going, oh yeah, you all know. Because when you said them to me, I was like, oh yeah.
And so a lot of couples will get into an experience where they learn about these and immediately realize, no, my spouse isn't the problem. Time has been the problem.
Right.
We're now in the reality stage. We're now in the adaptation stage. That's what we have to work together to get through, as opposed to thinking, oh man, I just made a mistake. I got to get out of this marriage.
So let's talk about the DIY marriage experience, which is coming up. And we're talking about it now because this is an amazing gift to give your spouse. Whether you're a guy or a girl, this is a great gift to give your spouse, because this is one of those things where it's fun. First of all, the entire weekend experience is designed to let you have fun with your spouse, at the same time sort of sharpening tools that you may already have. And let's face it, this is not for people who are like, I shouldn't say. It's not for people who are just on the skids. Like, if you feel like your marriage is off track, well then yes, 100%. This is what you should do. But if you are just realizing after hearing those stages Jonathan just talked about, it's like, we're in the adaptation state. What do we do next?
Correct.
What do you do now? How do you make that transition so the adaptation stage doesn't mean you're adapting 2 separate lives? Because that to me is so depressing when I see people, especially people who are only focused on their child or their children. And you can see that their relationship is sort of decaying at the expense of focusing. And then I'm thinking, your kids are going to go to college someday. What happens then? You know, so this whole weekend is about giving you the tools to get through those stages and recognize what's going on. And I'm assuming to help support the other person and help each other grow in the relationship so nobody starts to feel a little bit stifled. Absolutely.
You nailed it. And it is so refreshing when folks walk into a room, apprehensive, but they are really unsure that there's going to be any change that can happen.
Right.
And then those same people leave at the end of the weekend and say, I had no idea how much I did not know about my own marriage. I had no idea what I did not know about healthy relationships in general, and for them to be able to apply those skills.
Because this isn't just about, it is about communicating in marriage, but how much does this translate out in your normal life?
So one of the things that the science behind healthy relationships has shown is that the skills of healthy relationships are completely universal to all relationships. So if you do these skills with your friends, the relationship with your friends get healthier. If you do these skills with your children, you become a better parent and that relationship gets stronger. If you do this with your romantic partners, you do this with your coworkers, you do this with your in-laws, the relationship gets healthier. And so folks who wind up taking the time to learn the skills, which are not hard. They are just,
this is not rocket science, is what you're saying.
Absolutely not. So we practice it in a way that teaches you the science behind it, but also shows you how to do this right now in the experience. So you're already experienced at practicing this when you go home. But
let me just ask this, because you've done this seminar before, and do you have people where one person is like, yes, we're going to do this, and the other person is like, no? How do you convince that lagging party to want to participate in this?
So almost without fail, if there is one party that is interested and there is one party that is not, the party who is not isn't saying, I don't want a healthier relationship. What they're saying is, I don't think this is going to work.
Right.
Or they're saying, I don't want to do the work to make this work. And oftentimes, the party who is most interested, the spouse who really wants this to happen, if you take a step back and don't think about it from your perspective, why I want to go and why I'm excited, but if you can find one or two or three reasons why, when this works, the spouse who does not want to go will be excited. Usually you can get them incentivized to say, oh, well, I had not considered that if you are happier in our relationship, perhaps that benefits me in some way.
Perhaps I can play a little more golf without hassle. Perhaps I can, because that is one of those things that, it is challenging sometimes when people, especially people who look at this, I don't want to go to therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is not therapy.
This is not therapy.
This is not sitting around talking about your feelings with a bunch of people. This is not therapy.
So we want people to walk away with actual tangible skills. And that's one of the reasons we call it the DIY marriage experience. This is do it yourself. There is no one who can come to you and fix your marriage. You cannot read a book that's going to fix your marriage. You can't buy a pill that's going to improve the quality of your marriage. What you can do is learn some stuff you don't know.
Right.
And do those things. And we're going to teach those things over the 3-day experience weekend in a number of different modules that'll cover all sorts of different topics, from finance to communication, in-laws, sex, parenting, and
kind of all the biggies. Let's face it. You hit the high points of the things we fight about when we're married right there.
The things that really have the ability to knock a marriage off course. And for a lot of folks that are out there, they're not in this on the skids, as you put it.
Right.
But they're not as happy as they want to be, and they know that. They just don't know what to do.
And you have people that are newlyweds to married 40 years. And everything in there. And
it is, again, the folks who've been married 40 years will come up. There's a lot of gray hair walking in with some of the older couples if they're coming in, and they've got a lot of the same apprehension. We've been married for 40 years. Is there anything we're going to get out of this?
Right.
And to see them leave at the end of it and say, we got a lot out of it, and we have already started to implement some of the things that you've done, our marriage is going to be better. Even though we had a pattern of 40 years, we can make it better now.
So if people want to find out more about the seminar itself is taking place April 6th, 7th, and 8th And it is at the Inverness Hotel right down here south of us right now in the Tech Center. But the seminar itself is very affordable. $249 if you pay by what, Friday?
It's by Friday is the early bird registration. Regular registration is just $279. So it's still incredibly reasonable, especially when you're receiving, you're getting instruction from up to 6 different facilitators, and you get to pick the workshop groups that are most relevant to your marriage. So you make sure that you're getting the skills, not that anybody needs, but that you need, and that you can start applying.
And you can stay at the Inverness Hotel for an additional fee. You guys don't get any of that money, but you said, and because I talked about this, I said you have to stay at the hotel, and absolutely you do not. You can just pay for the seminar. You can go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it would be great. But you found that the people that do stay and make the weekend just about them, without the dog crapping on the carpet and the kids fighting and the everything else when you get home, just make it about them. That is the most productive.
They see the most progress because they can stay engaged in pouring into a marriage that in many cases might not have had any pouring into. Just a lot of logistics for the last 5 years. Who's picking up whom and who's eating what for dinner. But you have the opportunity to pour in and build a future. What does our marriage look like in 5 or 10 or 25 years as a couple with no distractions of the family variety when you're at the hotel with other couples that are doing the same thing? If you go home, again, you can, if that's the financially responsible decision, do it. There's still a lot to be learned. But when you go home, there's going to be 1,000 things that distract you from all the work you were just doing. DIYmarriage.org is how you find out more about the seminar. I'm going to be promoting it this week coming up because I think this is amazing. And you know, the happiest marriages that I know, the long-term marriages, have had long periods. And little old ladies used to tell me this all the time. I'd say, what's the secret to your 55-year marriage? And they'd say, well, I plotted his murder for like 5 years, but then I got over it. Honest to God, I heard some variation of that over and over and over again. So perhaps this can prevent you from plotting murder for 5 years and stay married and go the distance and go, you know, so you can enjoy your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren as a family, which to me, you know, would be amazing. And absolutely amazing. That's what it's about. You don't want to be married because you survived it. You want to be married. You want to be married because you are enjoying every minute of this person that you selected.
There you go. Susan Whitkin walks in.
Seriously,
and goes,
every minute? Come on, dude. Really?
Not every minute.
Maybe you enjoy the vast majority.
There we go. Okay, I will go with the vast majority because then I get to stay married.
Go to DIYmarriage.org. That's DIYmarriage.org. Go ahead and pony up now, because it goes up just a little bit, but it's still very reasonably priced. But Jonathan Dickerson, thank you so much for coming in. Always a joy to talk to you, man.
Absolute pleasure.
Always a joy.